The alarm began as a soft pulse, barely audible, almost hesitant, before erupting into a piercing red wave that rippled across Earth's orbital defense ring. Screens bloomed with data strings that scrolled too fast for human eyes. Operators stared at the impossible numbers, their hands frozen above consoles. Contact count is rising. 2,000, 4,000, 9,000. A technician's voice cracked. 10,000 warp signatures inbound. All unregistered. All covert. For a heartbeat, no one moved. Then Caiths detonated. Commanders shouted for confirmations. AIs recalculated threat levels again and again, each time producing the same answer: a coordinated strike force, hidden behind lattice-shifted warp signatures, was entering the solar system on hundreds of micro-trajectories. All targeting Earth. Inside the central pit, Admiral Solara exhaled slowly. "This is a galactic assassination sweep." She whispered it like a verdict. The last time such a strike occurred, it had toppled a star empire in 3 hours. Earth had minutes. She turned sharply. "Initiate HFY protocol." Now. Far beneath the Pacific Ocean, a vast chamber hummed to life. Project HFY, Earth's most secret defensive counter-strike program, activated like a beating heart. Walls slid apart to reveal armories, holoscreens, tactical grids, and a warren of corridors engineered for the two operatives who knew this place better than anyone. Commander Elias Vance, known to off-record files as Reaper, strode in with quiet purpose. He didn't need to ask what had happened. The mood in the room, the rigid shoulders, the clipped orders, the nervous glances, explained everything. A ripple of distortion shimmered beside him. Kaida Soren, Nightwind, materialized the way a shadow learns to take shape. Her suit shifted through shades of black like it was deciding which darkness it preferred. "They're coming early," she murmured, eyes narrowing as tactical holograms assembled around them. Reaper nodded once. 10,000 assassins. Coordinated entry vectors." He paused. "Coalition move." Nightwind tilted her head. "Or someone using the coalition as a shield." A colonel rushed toward them, face pale. "Commanders, orbital intel confirms synchronized infiltration attempts across 22 entry windows. Their first targets are government leadership and deep science directors. The attackers will hit in under 90 minutes. Reaper studied the holographic map floating above the table. Waves of red signatures surged toward Earth like a swarm of spearpins. "A mass decapitation strike," he said. "Which is why we need both of you leading Earth's special defense units," the colonel insisted. "We can prepare counterteams." "No." Reaper didn't raise his voice. He didn't need to. The room stilled. "We don't defend." Nightwind touched a panel, bringing up another set of files. Encrypted orders. Hidden channels. Command structures. Someone had coordinated 9 alien empires into a single operation. Someone who thought humans were too young to notice. "We counter-strike," she finished. The colonel blinked. "Against who?" "We don't know the attackers' leaders." "We will," Reaper said. The Shadefall director approached, her expression carved from steel. "We're activating the mandate. You two are cleared to pursue the operation's architects off-world. Your objective is to cut off the command nodes before they launch their next phases." "Which world first?" Nightwind asked. "Morith Prime." The director tapped the map. A heavily militarized sphere lit up, ringed with fortresses. "Our interceptors detected encrypted traffic bouncing through Mority space. Their war council is meeting in 3 hours. That's your entry window." "And Earth?" Reaper asked. "We'll handle the assassins here," the director said. "You focus on the route." Nightwind smirked. 10,000 here. One mastermind there. Efficient." The colonel shook his head. "We can dispatch a battalion to support you." Reaper cut him off. "A battalion would be a liability. 2 operatives can move faster than fleets." Nightwind added. "And we don't need help." The colonel's frustration flared. "You're telling me Earth will send only 2 people against the leadership behind this?" Reaper stepped closer. We're not going alone out of arrogance. We're going because Earth can't afford to divide its defense. Someone must sever the command before they escalate. If we fail, Earth burns. Nightwind shrugged lightly. Besides, we're not exactly two people. Her suit rippled, briefly revealing the array of encoded weapons and tools hidden across its form. The colonel swallowed hard. Fair enough. The transit vessel lifted from the black site bay, its surface shifting to match the void around it. Its engines emitted no light. Its signature blended into background space noise. Only 4 people on Earth knew it existed. Inside, Nightwind sat cross-legged, calibrating a suite of microdrones that looked like specks of dust. Reaper secured his sidearm, though his real weapons were precision, instinct, and a mind honed for the unexpected. She glanced at him. You think the Coalition's really behind this? They never coordinate like this willingly, Reaper replied. Someone unified them with fear or lies. Someone dangerous. Someone desperate. The ship exited FTL, revealing Morith Prime filling the viewport. Steel citadels jutted across the planet like iron teeth. Hundreds of battleships orbited in pattern-locked formations. Nightwind smirked. Cozy. Reaper stood. Take your route. I'll take mine. Try not to let them interrogate you too long, she teased. He didn't answer, already stepping toward the drop hatch. Reaper landed in a controlled crash outside a Moriti patrol zone. He allowed himself to be captured. The soldiers dragged him into a towering structure of angular, gunmetal corridors. He offered no resistance, waiting for the moment they would bring him before someone of value. Interrogation officers shoved him into a chamber. Name your species. Reaper stared back, silent. One officer leaned in. You came alone? Reaper's lips lifted the faintest fraction. No. They didn't have time to unpack that answer. The lights flickered, just once. Then screams echoed down the hall. Nightwind moved through the fortress like a slipping shadow, her feet barely disturbing the air. Sensors didn't react. Guards collapsed before they understood they were under attack. She reached the War Council chamber, bypassed the lock with a mimic key, and slid inside. 17 Moriti commanders lounged around a tactical table. They turned, surprised. Nightwind exhaled once. It was quiet, fast, efficient. When she stepped out, every commander lay dead, and the table displayed one message carved into its metal. You started a war you will not survive. She tapped her comm. Reaper. I'm done. So am I, he answered. He walked out of the interrogation chamber, leaving the officers unconscious. In his hand, a data cube extracted from the general he'd subdued. The cube showed encrypted orders signed by a single name. Strategos Vrakal Darash. Nightwind joined him on a rooftop overlooking the burning skyline. The fortress alarms howled in confusion. She held up the shard she'd retrieved. He planned this on a galactic scale. Reaper nodded. Then we ended on the same scale. Nightwind smiled. On to the next world? The first ripple of trouble reached Earth before dawn. A coded transmission pulsed through the secure quantum network, a warning from one of the few species still willing to whisper to humans in secret. Aaron stood alone on the balcony of the defense spire, watching the horizon brighten above the metallic sea. The message replayed through his mind, unknown fleet formation detected in the outer sectors. Not ours. Not Council. Moving towards Sol. He turned as footsteps approached. Captain Lyra stepped into the glow of the rising sun, her expression carved with tension. You saw the skin logs? She asked. Just finished, Aaron replied. Still no identification. Whoever they are, they're hiding behind outdated signatures. That takes deliberate engineering. Lyra folded her arms, studying him. You think they're testing us? I think someone wants to see if a banished species will defend itself alone, he said. And whether the Council's embargo slowed us. Lyra inhaled sharply. They assume we're still bound by limits they handed us a century ago. Aaron nodded. They haven't realized we stopped listening the day they exiled us. A silence settled between them, filled only by the hum of the city below. The human sovereign alliance had grown in secrecy, not out of ambition but necessity. Exclusion had forged unity, and unity had created capability. Their warships, though officially non-existent, could outmaneuver most fleets in the outer Orion chain. Aaron returned his focus to the distant sea. We need eyes beyond our border. Get the Valiant prepped. Lyra raised a brow. You're deploying the flagship? Not deploying, he said quietly. Investigating. The Valiant, Earth's quiet thunder. The docking bay throbbed with controlled intensity as engineers ran final diagnostics. The Valiant, sleek, angular, dark as obsidian, rested in its cradle like a predator conserving energy. Its gravity sails shimmered faintly, rippling with contained power. Aaron walked the central walkway, scanning each station. Lyra followed, checking her wrist display. Core alignment stable, she reported. Quantum rail clean. All decks ready. Aaron paused before the ship's main hull. He rested a hand on the cool metal surface, remembering the years spent designing it in hidden orbital yards. No council regulations. No ceilings. No permissions. Any updates from the outer relays? He asked. Lyra shook her head. The unidentified fleet is still masking itself. Trajectory unchanged. They're heading toward the Centauri Passage. Aaron's gaze sharpened. That puts them on the fastest route to Earth. Lyra's jaw tightened. Do we alert the civilian sectors? Not yet, he said. We confirm what we're facing first. Panic helps no one. Launch sequence. The Valiant's engines flared with a resonant growl as it detached from the cradle. Aaron took his seat in the command well, where a translucent hollow map rose around him. Lyra settled into the tactical station, hands hovering above shifting controls. Course plotted, she announced. Ready for slipstream insertion. Aaron leaned back as the ship aligned with the invisible corridor stretching past the moon's orbit. Execute. A pulse of light rippled outward. The Valiant lunged into slipstream, the stars elongating into white arcs as they accelerated. Aaron felt the shift through the hull, a vibration that always reminded him of a heartbeat. It wasn't long before the ship emerged near the Centauri Passage. The region was quiet, too quiet. No trade traffic. No patrol beacons. Only the silence of empty space and a faint distortion ahead. Lyra magnified the anomaly. That's deliberate masking, she muttered. Whoever they are, they're bending radiation to hide their hulls. Aaron studied the faint shimmer. Open passive scans only. No active ping yet. Lyra nodded, initiating the sweep. Lines of data scrolled across her display. Multiple vessels, she said after several seconds. Size range, cruiser to battleship. Formation tight. Movement disciplined. Aaron exhaled slowly. Not pirates. Not scavengers. This is military. Still no transponders, Lyra added. They're flying blind by choice. Aaron's jaw set. Bring us closer. Minimum signature. The Valiant drifted forward, nearly invisible against the starlit dark. The hidden fleet remained unaware, or unconcerned, of their presence. Lyra's eyes narrowed. Aaron, I'm picking something up. Look at this pattern. She projected the scan result. The arrangement of the ships, their spacing, their synchronized drift, it was familiar. Too familiar. Aaron froze. That's a council formation. Exactly their maneuver code, Lyra said. But the ships don't match any registered class. Aaron leaned closer, examining the hull silhouettes. Sleeker. Sharper. Unmarked. Breakaway faction? Lyra suggested. No council faction has the authority to build off-band vessels, Aaron said. Not publicly, at least. Lyra hesitated. Unless they built them to deal with us. Aaron didn't answer. The thought was plausible, terrifyingly so. The Council had never forgiven Earth for thriving after the ban. Quietly, humans had become too capable, too unified, too unpredictable. Enough to worry the elder species. But would the Council risk a covert strike? He needed confirmation. The first signal. Lyra, Aaron said. Record their emissions. Look for encrypted Council pulse markers. Lyra began the extraction. Seconds later, her breath caught. There. Embedded in the flux. Same encryption pattern they used during the banned treaty broadcasts. Aaron closed his eyes briefly. So they came. To eliminate us? She whispered. To test us first, he corrected. If they wanted devastation, they'd bring a full armada. He watched the ghostly fleet gliding toward the passage. Their engines burned low, meant to avoid detection. The tactic confirmed something else. They feared human sensors. Meaning they no longer believed the old narrative of Earth's inferior technology. Prepare to shadow them, Aaron said. We need their intent before acting. Lyra adjusted trajectory, matching their speed. For several minutes, the Valiant followed at a cautious distance. Then the lead ship altered course, directly toward the passage gate. Aaron stiffened. That puts them hours from Sol's defensive perimeter. They're not here for a test run, Lyra said, voice taut. They're moving with purpose. Aaron rose from his command seat. Open a narrowband transmission. No signature. Lyra hesitated. You're contacting them? They already crossed into our sphere. They deserve one chance to explain. Lyra nodded and opened the channel. Aaron spoke clearly. Unidentified fleet, you are entering protected human space. Identify yourselves. Only static answered. He repeated the message, voice harder this time. Silence. Then, abruptly, a whisper of encoded data slipped through. Lyra intercepted it instantly. It's a message, she murmured. Encrypted. Same Council pattern. Decrypt, Aaron said. The computer broke the cipher in seconds. A single line appeared. Stand down. Your compliance will preserve stability. Lyra's hands clenched. They expect us to surrender our sovereignty. Aaron stared at the message, heat rising in his chest. They came to remind us of our place, he said. And they think we'll bow. He turned toward the viewport, watching the fleet slip deeper into the passage. They're wrong. He sat, calm settling over him like tempered steel. The Valiant drifted beside the Centauri passage, its hull absorbing distant starlight. Inside, tension pressed against every console, every breath. Aaron watched the Council's covert fleet slip deeper toward Sol, their silent approach framed against the swirling silver aperture of the passage gate. Lyra returned from the lower deck, eyes alert. Earth Command responded. They're mobilizing the inner defense network, stealth satellites, interceptor grid, all automated platforms. They want your assessment before committing warships. Aaron kept his attention on the live feed. They still hope this can be de-escalated. Do you? He didn't answer immediately. The Council's message, your compliance will preserve stability, echoed in his mind. It was a threat dressed as wisdom, the same tone they had used when they banished humanity from the Galactic Assembly. I want clarity, Aaron said softly. If they came to forced submission, there's no discussion to be had. Lyra took her seat at her station, fingers hovering above the tactical map. We're close enough to slip inside their formation if needed. Our cloak is stronger than what they're using. That's our advantage, Aaron replied. And they know nothing about our propulsion curves. Before Lyra could respond, an alert rippled through the command well. A small drone detached from the lead enemy cruiser and drifted toward the passage. Its hull bore no markings, just a faint pulse across its surface. Lyra zoomed in. Looks like a relay probe. Probably preparing to ping the inner system. Disable it, Aaron said. Quietly. Lyra initiated a narrow beam cutter, slicing through the drone's core. The probe dimmed, spinning lifelessly until it vanished into the passage's swirl. No shift came from the enemy fleet. They hadn't noticed. Aaron exhaled. Lyra, pull us closer. I want a direct reading from the flagship. The Council's hidden design. The Valiant glided forward with almost no detectable trace. As they closed in, sharper details emerged. The Council's covert cruisers weren't built like traditional vessels. They were segmented, like interlocking blades held together by magnetic threads. Their engines pulsed in tight rhythm, so precise it resembled organics rather than machinery. Lyra frowned at her display. Their reactors are running at low output, but the configuration, it's not standard Council design. Aaron studied the structure. No species in the Council builds like this. Not openly. You think they used off-record labs? I think this project was meant for one purpose, Aaron said. Control through intimidation. They expect the sight of these things above our planet to force surrender. He straightened, voice gaining sharpened clarity. They need to see we're not the frightened species they exiled. Lyra nodded. Then we intercept? First, we give them a warning, Aaron said. A final one. The message. Lyra prepared a tight band transmission. Aaron stepped forward as the channel activated. Unmarked Council vessels, he said, tone steady but unyielding. You are advancing into human territory. Reverse your course. Your advance is unauthorized. Continued movement will trigger a defensive response. Seconds passed. No return signal. No shift in formation. Then, without warning, the enemy flagship brightened along its central spine. Panels slid apart. A mechanism unfolded, resembling a spearhead of pure energy. Lyra's breath hitched. Aaron, that's a beam array. A large one. Aaron clenched his fists. They're preparing it inside the passage. They think our sensors can't see. Target? She asked, though she suspected the answer. Earth, he said. Or the defense grid. The brightening continued, slow but unmistakable. They're not here to intimidate, Aaron said. They're here to cripple. The first strike. He didn't hesitate. Lock the array. Fire a precision disruptor. Lyra executed instantly. A pulse shot from the Valiant, invisible to naked eye but unmistakable on sensor readouts. It struck the flagship's beam assembly, destabilizing the focusing matrix. The enemy's ship flared violently, forced to retract its weapon as the structure shook. But now they knew. Their masking field collapsed. The fleet lit up in full spectral outline, sleek, serrated, bristling with armaments. Lyra stared at the changing formation. They're shifting to attack posture. Aaron's voice was a low steel. Prepare for evasive maneuvers. The cruisers spread out like a net, engines surging as they closed in. They're faster than predicted, Lyra said. But not faster than us, Aaron replied. Slipstream jump, short burst. The Valiant folded space in a micro-jump, vanishing before the enemy weapons ignited. They reappeared behind the formation, engines humming. Lyra let out a shaky breath. They missed. They won't miss twice, Aaron said. We need to separate their ships before they coordinate. He tapped the map. Focus on isolating the flagship. Cut its support channels. If they lose command cohesion, they retreat. The knife through the dark. The Valiant accelerated between two cruisers, weaving through their weapon arcs. Lyra executed countermeasures with razor precision, bending incoming beams away using gravity shunts. The hull trembled under the close-passing fire, but held firm. Aaron's eyes tracked the flagship. Lyra, disable its port arrays. Use a scatter burst. She opened the burst, sending a wave of ionized particles across the flagship's flank. The vessel staggered as its energy grid faltered. That's one array down, she said. But the remaining cruisers tightened their perimeter. Several angled toward the Valiant, locking in on its trajectory. They're trying to box us in, Lyra warned. Then we break the box, Aaron said. Full speed. Cut across their axis. The engine roar deepened as the Valiant shot forward. The cruisers fired simultaneously, beams slicing through the void in sharp lines. Lyra manipulated the sails, forcing each blast to fragment before impact. They streaked past the nearest cruiser's hull, close enough for Aaron to see the swirling patterns etched along its plating like hieroglyphs. Human design philosophy had evolved, but these ships felt alien even by Council standards. They're hiding something bigger, Aaron murmured. Before Lyra could reply, the flagship recovered its earlier damage. Energy coiled along its spine again. Aaron, its weapon is recharging faster than before. Then we stop it entirely. He took the helm himself. Prepare overload burst. Lyra tensed. That's risky. If the feedback reflects. It won't, he assured her. Trust me. She nodded, fingers flying. Burst primed. Aaron aimed the Valiant directly at the flagship's glowing spine, riding the edge of optimal range. Firing! The overload burst cracked across the void. A shock of bright distortion surged into the flagship's core. Its weapon array collapsed in a cascade of energy, tearing through its internal grid. A deep rupture sliced across the ship, its lights flickering out one by one. The remaining cruisers halted mid-advance. Lyra scanned quickly. They've lost command control. Their formation's collapsing. Aaron leaned back, pulse steadying. Then they'll retreat. One by one, the cruisers turned away, engines dimming as they pulled back toward the passage exit. None attempted to re-engage. Within minutes, the last vessel had vanished into slipstream, leaving the void quiet once more. Aftermath.